Thank you for being here today for our monthly press conference. We're excited to join about 1,000 educators here on the campus of Lucy Beckham High School over the course of the last 3 days to kick off the new year. Our theme is the extra degree, taking Charleston County from good to great. We know water boils at water's hot at 211, but it boils at 212. So our focus over the last 3 days has been on what it's going to take from all of our educators to take the district that one extra degree, starting with a high quality educator in all of our classrooms. And I'm proud to share that for the second year, all of our classroom vacancies are filled. We have about 3,800 teaching positions in the district, and it's really a testament to the great work of our principals in our schools, but also the strategic leadership of Bill Brigman and our teacher recruitment team in our Department of Human Resources. Of course, they've worked very closely, as you know, with the CFO and his team to make sure that our salaries are competitive and that we're offering with the COO opportunities beyond just compensation to make conditions good for teachers, including the expansion of employee day care here in Charleston County this year here to District 2. We're also excited to share that this year CAO Simmons will be leading the work of the Elevation Zone, which is a combination of Miss Jackie Haynes' exceptional work in the Acceleration Zone and Miss Quinetta White's work in the Transformation Zone to really shepherd 14 schools that are our most high potential. So we're looking forward to a great year as we focus on student achievement. Today we also talked about being a data-driven, learner-focused, evidence-based system where we're constantly looking at student progress and managing what support we offer to children to take things to the next level. And professional learning communities will also be an emphasis as we enter the new year with our students, making sure we prioritize kids first, making sure we engage with our families, and making sure, again, that we have the best and the brightest in front of our most precious assets, which are our children. We'll also increase our weighted student funding formula this year from $32 to $36 million. Early evidence, which is currently embargoed, suggests that the district has made significant gains in every area of assessment measure across the district. In grades 3 through 8, that includes English, math, and science. And as you know, we test end of course in Algebra 1, English 2, Biology, and U.S. History. We suspect that when the numbers are shared, our graduation rates will rise, our college and career readiness rates will rise, but we're not content until every student in all of our schools leaves ready for whatever they want to do next. And so with that, we're really excited again about the new year and the work that we've done to ready our teachers and our classrooms for the return of our students. I'm certainly open to any questions that you might have about any of the work here that we've done over the course of the last 3 days, or the work in the district as we've gotten ready to welcome families and students. I'm happy to move it down. Yes, sir. Can you hear me better now? Do you need me to start over? Okay. No. The answer is no, but thank you. I'm happy to say whatever I need to say over. Val? Thank you.
Most of my questions are about elevation.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So my first question is, the release mentioned that these are former acceleration and transformation schools. Is this a rebrand of those two initiatives? And if so, can you expound on why?
Absolutely, I'm happy to. It is a rebrand, but in a different way, a new launch of more strategic efforts with the combined support of the CAO and Ms. Haynes. We'll also welcome LaShawna Harris and Quinetta White to the team. And the thought is, Valerie, to be really strategic with these 14 elementary schools specifically that are similar in a lot of ways. A high number of pupils in poverty. Most of them have high populations of MLL students, and many of them also have high populations of special education students. Ms. Simmons and Ms. Haynes have spent time up at the University of Virginia over a week this summer, really thinking strategically about 90-day plans and how to engage thoughtfully with these principals. And what Ms. Simmons brings to the team is her management as well of the divisions centrally that lead special education, as you know, lead multilingual support services, as you know, and behavioral support services with Mrs. Lisa Allison and her team. And so she and Mrs. Haynes have both been really thoughtful about the relaunch of this work, and I'll invite them to come up now and talk a little bit more about it and certainly answer any other questions that any of you might have. Ms. Simmons, Mrs. Haynes.
We're open to questions.
On that note, when you look at the list of schools that were on an acceleration or transformation list, some of them do reappear on this list. Is that to say that there were things in the prior system that weren't working, and what new changes in the elevation program, are new that you think are going to be effective?
Thank you for the question. The superintendent and deputy superintendent had the vision of really extending the work. So it's not new work. It's really an extension of all of the great efforts of Jackie Haynes, our associate superintendent, and that entire team leading those schools. We've seen double-digit gains, and so the blueprint is established. Our job moving forward will be to accelerate the growth that's happening already in those existing schools.
I think it's also important to know that the schools, some of them have come off of the state list, which is very important, and the superintendent wants to make sure that we continue to give those schools support. Just because they're off the list, doesn't mean that we're done. We're going to continue with that support. I think it's also important to say that the initiatives did work, especially the 90-day plans, using our MTSS process, and in particular, the 90-day plan, it worked so well, now it is being used by the entire district. And I think that says a lot about the work and the fact that our superintendent is supporting that work and making sure that others can use some of these strategies that were used and will help the entire district.
Good question. Question?
Yeah, so this is your second year now of filling classrooms with teachers. What message do you think that sends to other teachers in the area as far as job security and attracting teachers here?
That's a very good question. So what I will say as far as this year for teacher recruitment specifically, we've hired about 431 new teachers to the district. But what we've really also seen with our salary structure especially, we're really retaining more teachers than we have in the past. So teachers that are currently in our system, they now know that we go to step 40, which most districts do not. Step 40 helps with state retirement. The longer you're in the system, the higher your salary is, and it benefits in the long run. So I would say the compensation overall, not just attracting our brand new teachers to the district at a $65,000 a year starting salary, which is absolutely amazing, but also our teachers who are already in our system are seeing significant increases as well, and they have over the last, this is going in really the third year. So I think a lot of our teachers also are feeling there's so much support coming from the board, coming from the superintendent, and from all of the chief level officers, and recognizing that teachers are, I'm not going to say they are the most important, but I really feel that they are. Our teacher assistants are also really important. So everybody that's in a school building makes a difference, but we've got to have the best teachers in our system.
Welcome, Bob.
Thanks, everybody.
So sorry I'm late. So we've been interviewing a lot of superintendents in multiple counties, and they're trying to get their salaries to come up, and they hold Charleston County as the standard. And they're saying, you know, gracious things like, man, we wish we could get the salaries that Charleston County has. How are you guys doing that? How do you help these smaller counties and, dare I say, less, you know, they just, you know, what can you tell them about what you guys are doing to get these salaries up?
Well, first of all, the CFO can step up as well because he is the brains behind the money. But I'll just say Charleston, when we started well, pretty much my whole career, I think I've been pushing for increased teacher pay, but we also want to set this level where other districts need to follow and the state needs to follow. But one of the big differences about this initiative over the last couple years has been the Teacher Compensation Committee, and it's hearing from our teachers who are in our classrooms every day, and the board hearing that. And we all know Charleston is an expensive place to live. So if you can't afford to live where you work, and you also have to have 2 jobs to afford to live where you work, you can't focus on our students. And students should be the #1 goal of for every teacher in a classroom. So Daniel, our CFO, he's the man behind the scenes on the money. So I'll let him speak to maybe how he can help other districts.
Thank you. So I think the big thing for Charleston is it gives us an opportunity for legislative advocacy and to put, some conversation forward to the state to be able to think about how we're going to move the state forward. Of course, now the state minimum salary schedule, is $15,000 less than where Charleston County is. And so in order to be able to advance all districts throughout the state's really going to have to look at their funding formulas and to think about how that's going to advance the work across South Carolina. But for Charleston, it's more than just, the revenue and property taxes and things like that. We really wouldn't be able to have a plan if we didn't know where we were going. So for other districts, I would encourage them to think about budgets and more than just the 1-year outlook. We look at the budget as a 5-year plan, and so we know not just this year through June 30th of 2026, but out through FY 2030, the direction that we're taking the system with compensation. Of course, personnel is our biggest expenditure in CCSD, and so we know the direction that we're moving beyond just the 1-year outlook, and that helps us be more thoughtful in terms of where we're taking things. And a lot of folks don't do that. So to be able to forecast and to refine our estimates and our assumptions for the fiscal concerns has made a big difference in our ability to do this.
Thank you. All right. Melissa?
Following up on the elevation acceleration schools, which I'm sure a lot of people are really excited to see, is there any specific program that is new that you can speak to? Or I know we talked about the 90-day plan working, either something new that you really want to highlight that's going into those schools or another working plan that's going to stay that you really want to highlight?
Absolutely. So what we're focused on right now in Charleston is really getting back to basics, which is focusing on things that we really know work in these schools. And we know that the 90-day plan is one of the most effective things that came out of the work of the acceleration zone to really plan for and forecast where we want schools to be and what sort of supports they need to be in place. And so for those schools, we've also focused with Mr. Brigman on high quality teaching, and as Jackie mentioned earlier, Mrs. Haynes, really that MTSS process for identifying multi-tiered systems of support, MTSS, for identifying universal systems that need to be in school, like what do we need to make sure all kids are able to know and are able to do, but then also that we've provided remediation support for children that are at a tier 2 or a tier 3 level, meaning they need more support. And then for on the other side, what acceleration opportunities can we make available for students? So we're really focused on high quality teachers and leaders in our buildings. This year, we have 21 leaders who are either in a new school or we've welcomed them to Charleston. So of our 86 schools and programs, we have 21 leaders who are either in new schools in this district or we've welcomed. So high quality leaders in the acceleration zone, Ms. Haynes and Ms. Simmons have paid particular attention to. High quality teachers, thoughtful planning with the 90-day forecast, again, systems of support, MTSS, and the acceleration schools will continue to be part of the Excellence in Teaching Award, which compensates teachers for their growth with students over time. And Mrs. Haynes championed that work early on, and again, we've been able to expand it into all schools in this zone. Again, Mrs. Simmons will help lead and shepherd the work around a focus on multilingual students and special ed students in general. And like I suggested a bit earlier, these are some of our most high poverty schools. Michelle and Jackie, I don't know if there's anything else you would want to add.
I do want to add one thing. Today, the superintendent had us to think about what was one thing we needed to do to take it to that 212 boiling point. And she asked a very important question. What type of feedback have you ever given? And that is another piece that the district is using, such as giving teachers feedback. These teachers that we've hired, we want to keep them in our schools. And retention rate has been really good in our acceleration, transformation, now elevation schools, and that's important. So important, we were doing that work in those schools, and the superintendent has stamped bringing Bainbrick Santoyo, who leads that work throughout the country. He will be here in CCSD to work with our district leaders, our principals, and our coaches. So that says a lot. That's something new.
Yeah, can you please clarify or explain further the WSF portion of the press release? You know, it said that these schools will be receiving additional funding through WSF, but the rest of the schools are already receiving this additional funding. So what's the difference there?
So I'm going to let Mr. Prentice talk a little bit how the allocation per student versus how we allocated previously, we believe will benefit children and across the system in fairness. I mean, this is going to be again, many of these schools already receive extra resources from the state and federal government, but the WSF has been expanded so that it has the ability to touch each individual student as compared to how we did it last year, because our goal is always continuous improvement, and we want to be very transparent with the media about that. Mr. Prentice?
Sure. Absolutely. So the WSF is allocated equitably throughout the system. So it's $1,353 per pupil, and then there's a weight applied to that. So in the case of the elevation schools, as was referenced earlier, there's going to be a larger group of pupils in poverty in particular, and so that multiplier by the number of pupils in poverty in the schools, for example, would yield more resources for those schools, but it doesn't change the actual formula in elevation compared to any other school. But then, of course, as Ms. Huggins mentioned, Title I, those funds are often available in those schools if they're Title I eligible, and there's other resources that they would receive, so they can compound those resources, WSF being the least restrictive because it's general operating dollars of the district, whereas Title I is intended to supplement, so it changes the thinking and the way they approach allocating resources to try to maximize how far they can stretch dollar.
Bob, you only have one question? I can't believe that,
We got more
man.
questions on this side, though, Anita.
Questions, but not all of them are for this.
Well, listen, I understand.
Probably for Mr. Prentice there, but when it comes to budgeting, we've had some concerns talking about federal budget restrictions and particular to special needs programs. Have you run into any of that, and what kind of things are y'all doing to address those?
You're just right. That's a question for Mr. Prentice. Mr. Prentice.
I keep trying to walk away. So we have not seen any impact to special education funding through the federal appropriations process. That's the IDEA appropriations that we receive. So what we budgeted for FY26 is what we anticipate to receive, and that's no cuts to services. Everything's being maintained. You've heard recently about the spending freeze or the appropriations freeze, if you will. That hits like our Title II, which is for teacher improvement, teacher quality, Title III, 21st century learning communities, some of those grant programs. That's less than 0.25% of CCSD's budget in terms of the funds that are being held back. So they're appropriated, they're approved, and so it's law that we will receive them. And so we have a strong cash flow plan that allows us to administer those budgets as they were approved, even if the funds come in later in the year than we typically would see them. I know that's not the case for all districts because some don't have the ability to maintain the cash flows without those awards coming through in order to administer the programs. For us, it's not going to be an issue, and we'll continue to administer things as was approved in the budget in May.
Elevation schools again.
That's okay.
These questions are about the UVA partnership.
Sure.
So just wanted to quickly ask, how long has the district been involved with UVA and with this partnership? And how much does it cost, and where does the funding come from to do this?
Mr. Prentice, you can join us.
Right, exactly. So
There's a financial tie-in, it's all good.
I do recall the initial agreement partnership with UVA and Charleston County School District started summer of 2020. We were right in the thick of the pandemic, but their service and their support and partnership has been invaluable to the work of the Transformation and Acceleration Zone, and that's why we have committed to continue with that partnership for at least another couple of years. Mr. Prentice can speak to how we fund it.
So I believe in the outset of the partnership, there was some ESSER funding involved. As the ESSER funding sunset, we brought in general operating fund dollars. For this year, that partnership has been expanded a bit, and we brought in our Education Innovation Research Grant, which is in its final year. It was eligible. And so we're using those EIR dollars to provide support for FY26. And then as that continues in FY27, we program general operating fund again. So it's been a mixture of sources, trying to maximize federal awards where it's appropriate or allowable, and then we're using general operating fund where we have to.
Ms. Haynes, could you talk about the specific training that we get from UVA, what that partnership, how it plays out with your school leaders in the classroom?
So I have Ms. Simmons also join me up here. So UVA, University of Virginia, the Darden School of Business, and the Education Department have come together to give our educators experiences that sometimes we don't get outside of education. Usually educators, we focus on education. We don't think about how leadership impacts us. However, when we go to UVA, we're looking at case studies from different corporations, companies around the world, such as Aldi, such as hospitals. And what the leaders are learning is how to think outside of the box, how to transform their leadership, how to make change, how to be innovative, using those case studies. So their mindset shifts. If they think of their schools as a corporation, as their little area, their corporation, they learn more. They receive those experiences from the professors. So it's about mindset shift. It's about leadership. It's about how do you build that culture around your company, around your school, and then how do you expand that?
I would concur. And in addition to the case studies, we engage in simulations. And I think one of the highest leverage activities we learn from people doing the work, those who have found success, sustained success at this work. And so we hear from superintendents, associate superintendents, and principals. And so our principal corps now have the benefit of taking this information back to their school communities and leveraging the work. And so as Ms. Haynes alluded to earlier with the 90-day plan, it started off as just an effort for this nucleus of 10 to 12 schools. The fact that it has permeated and will transform our entire system of 82 plus schools, I think tells the story of how powerful the work is. And so that investment in leadership and leadership capacity and development is the heart of the work with our partnership with UVA.
And as a result of that, Superintendent Huggins failed to say something really great that she has led. We're part of the Council of Great City Schools, and because of that UVA work, because we have an elevation zone, we in this district had the highest growth of schools, of students, of all the Council of Great City Schools. And that is huge for our district because we were competing against districts such as Philadelphia, Broward County, Hillsborough County, big districts in this school system throughout the country. But for us to have the highest gains of our schools was tremendous and a testament to the good work that is happening here.
Melissa? Do you have any? Val, you have any? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go.
Continuing with the UVA topic, I've read a lot of good things about it, especially how their approach is tailored to what schools and what each school and each district needs. So I wanted to ask, how does this look like for Charleston? What are the things that the district, through this partnership, is focusing on to turn these schools around? I mean, I know that Anita mentioned, MTSS and the 90-day program, which I would also like to hear more about. But I kind of wanted to get a sense of how this looks like in real time,
So, on the job, what you will find is an investment in our professional learning communities. That's the what. But how we get at the work is through data-driven instruction. That's where principals, lead teachers, classroom teachers, instructional coaches come to the table on a regular cadence to discern and study standards. It's really important when we deliver standards-based lessons that teachers have full understanding of what students need to know and be able to do. Take it at face value. It sounds easy enough. It's intricate work. That's why we refer to it as a science, really. And so they're spending quality time unpacking standards and discerning student works. We're interested in where gaps reside for scholars. When we know where they're lagging in terms of meeting grade level standards, we can then plan and deliver reteaching lessons. And so every day you will find, if you go into any one of our 14 schools, the professionals at the table really studying and analyzing data and student work so that we're making the best decisions for our scholars day after day. And so those 90-day plans are iterative. They're not static. We expect them to evolve and get better with time.
And then, I know that Frierson Elementary is one of your success stories through this partnership. I just wanted to hear more about what that has meant for the district, the UVA partnership, in terms of the progress you have seen with schools that used to be on that list, and they have slowly but surely come out.
Yeah, sure. So Frierson Elementary, Guatemala, is one of the success stories that came out of this UVA partnership. They are also a Montessori school as well, and so for the upcoming year, they will be in a specific learning community dedicated to supporting the Montessori program and profile. But all in all, we just see this partnership as an opportunity to build capacity. So we partner with different outfits for the purpose of gaining capacity of our leaders. And so, for example, Mrs. Haynes and a couple of our district instructional specialists on Tuesday of this week, they were able to lead a session on how to get better faster. That is work that was born out of our partnership with UVA. And so as we see the work extend across the entirety of CCSD, that's an outcome, that's an indicator and a signal that the work is taking shape and taking hold in a significant way.
And that's another initiative that is going district-wide.
Right at it.
Why is it only elementary schools in the list?
We believe the superintendent, the deputy superintendent, and everybody who touches academics, we believe that the foundation is at the elementary level. If we give our scholars a fighting chance to be kindergarten ready at first, and then when they exit the elementary environment, they're ready, poised, and prepared to compete and succeed at a high level, we will have done our jobs.
That's really it. I can't applaud the work of these ladies and the folks in our schools doing the work anymore. We're seeing significant gains like Charleston has really never experienced, and that, as Jackie noted, we're scaling a lot of the work that she started here in the acceleration work district-wide is a testament to our dedication to evidence-based work that really makes a difference for kids. We've had a couple of keynote speakers here this week who really inspired me, and one of them said something like, it doesn't really matter how kids feel per se if they can't read and write. They're going to feel the best when they're able to be successful, and we feel that that is the kind of work that these ladies will champion as we enter the new year, because at this point they're seeing such significant gains that it's going to be hard to maintain and grow those gains even more. We expect great things this year. For example, out of Sanders Clyde, which was one of the transformation schools, we expect the North Charleston Creative Arts, which was one of the transformation schools. Again, North Charleston Elementary, which was an acceleration school, are going to continue to see unprecedented gains like we've never seen in these areas. And so we believe with a laser-like focus, not too many things, but things that we know work, we'll continue to serve kids well. So we want to thank you for being a really valued partner in that, because you help us get the word out to our business partners, to our parents, and to our communities about the work we're doing, but more importantly, the partnership we need from them in making a difference for kids. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you need anything else, we'll be happy to answer any questions, particularly Mr. Prentice. Yeah.